You're not crazy, you're just first. Let's unpack that.
You want me to unpack that? Okay.
Go.
Okay.
She's on a roll.
Let's
keep
fired
going.
up. This one lie, oh my gosh, Mel, it is life-changing. And this lie is called, you're not crazy, you're just first. So many of us think and believe the things that are different or odd or strange or quirky or wrong with us. And we should, dim our own light, hide them from others, because we fear if we show up as who we truly are, then we'll be found out. People might not like us anymore. We might not be loved. Mm-hmm. And so we end up, so many of us, showing up as who we think other people want us to be. We end up showing up as our representative, right? Every day, a lot of people wake up in the morning and put on their who they think they need to be uniform with their name on the front.
Like a Denny's waitress, uniform. Here I am in my role.
Yes, in my
role. Good daughter.
Yes.
Good partner, Good employee. I'm just going to keep showing up.
The friend that gets invited, the mom that has it all together, whatever that role is. Exactly. So first of all, it is impossible to have a true connection with another human being if you are showing up as anything other than who you authentically are, whether it's with a friend or a partner or a customers. For everyone listening who thinks like, oh, if I'm me, I won't be loved, or if I'm really me, then I won't do well on social media, or I won't get the promotion, or I won't get the job, or whatever it might be. Who you are deep down inside and your authenticity is your superpower. And for anybody listening who has ever felt like that they're different or that they don't belong, growing up as a little girl, I was adopted. I have 5 families who raised me. 5 families?
Wait, can you explain that?
Through divorces and then birth family I met later.
Okay.
And 5 families. Marriage. So blessed. I would not change a thing. And also, growing up, I always felt like I didn't belong. I would have these big ideas, like, what if we could solve world hunger? And, I was raised in an environment where no one had ever gone to college. And I would hear things like, things like that don't happen to people like us. Or you're crazy. They would always call me crazy as a term of endearment. You're crazy for having these different ideas. Fast forward, I am in my late 20s and I went to therapy. First person in any of my families that I'm aware of to go to therapy. And I literally asked my therapist, I said, am I crazy? Because I've been called this as a term of endearment my whole life. And she said,
hold on, as a term of endearment.
Yeah.
Talk about gaslighting yourself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right?
And my therapist said to me, you're not crazy, but I'm really glad you're here. And she explained that when you are first in your family, to maybe break a generational cycle or to actually show up as who you authentically are, to really share how you feel, to share your ideas, to not dim your light to fit in, that it often is met with confusion, resistance, with a feeling like you need to dim your light to belong. And this moment, Mel, hit me so bright, like a light bulb that burst. I realized in that moment, I'm not crazy. I'm just first. You are the first ever you that has ever been in existence. And so when you show up as who you are, do not be surprised if not everyone gets it. There's never been a you before. And it's not just that every one of us has unique fingerprints and irises of our eyes and tongue prints that are unique and heartbeats that are unique. You're the only one in existence who's had the experiences you've had in life and feels emotions the way you feel and sees art and beauty the way that you do. And when you are brave enough to be who you truly are, it's scary at first. But when you step into it and one step at a time, you start saying what you really mean, being who you truly are. It's how you start to live in alignment with your assignment in life. And so I go deep in this lie and worthy about how to unlearn the lie that the things that are wrong with you or odd or strange or different are the things you should hide, when in fact, they're the things most right with you. There are so many moments in my life when I was going through rejection after rejection or, not being invited to the party or retailers weren't believing in my brand and I was tempted to quit. And I would remind myself, okay, I'm doing this authentic to me. I'm not crazy. I'm just first. In any moment where you're tempted to feel like your idea isn't good enough or you shouldn't raise your hand and share how you really feel, right? So many of us can remember a moment in our childhood, in class perhaps, when we knew the answer, but for the first time ever, didn't raise our hand because we started to doubt, am I right? Am I going to get made fun of? Am I going to fit in? And self-doubt starts to kick in. And before you know it, we're 55 and deciding, I think I'm not going to raise my hand on that Zoom call tomorrow. Or I'm not going to go after that wild, bold idea because it might not work. And we start to live our lives hiding in plain sight. And we can be crushing things all around us that look good to everyone else, but we know we're not living the truest, highest, fullest expression of ourselves. And so for anyone who's ever felt like who they are isn't enough, it is a lie. You are not crazy. You're just first. I wrote a poem. You're not crazy. You're just first.
One thing about this, especially in the context of a family system structure, when you feel like there's something wrong with you, or when you get pushback from your family, the reframe from the lie, which is everybody telling you're crazy, you can't do that, people judging you even judging yourself.
Yeah.
That reframe is so powerful because I've been really surprised by how difficult it is in my own life. But I know in your life as you're listening, to break free of that fear of disappointing people in your family or what their expectations were for you. And so to think, oh, I'm just the first one to go to college. I'm just the first one to not be an accountant. I'm just the first one to really prioritize healing. Well, I'm just the first one that's going to live my life differently than everybody in my family has done forever. And in so doing, I am setting up this lie, you're crazy, and calling it out for what it is and living in the truth, which is, no, I'm just first. The 5 lies that you are telling yourself that are holding you back from reaching your potential. And we are in the middle of covering the first line, which is, you're not crazy. Like all those people that told you that you're crazy, it's a lie. It's a lie. And Jamie's beautiful, empowering rock star reframe, you're just first. You're just the first one in your family to do this. You're just the first one to go to school. You're just the first one to have this idea. So Jamie, I want to add to this conversation and go a little bit deeper because I have a question from a listener named Lisa. Lisa, I have this belief that good things happen to others, but not me. How do I start believing in myself?
Yes. So that is such a common lie that we tell ourselves, that good things happen to other people, but not us. And I was raised around that lie, right? I was raised around that lie that, oh, things like that can't happen to people like us. So my whole family, a lot of my family believes that lie as well. And I remember when I was waitressing at Denny's, I had this moment where I'm like, I think I could run this restaurant, right? I had this moment. But guess what? Self-doubt kicked in really fast. And that lie that Lisa just shared, I remember thinking that, oh, but I'm not qualified to do that. People like me don't run the restaurant, right? And so how do you overcome that? So let me just take a step back. Every single thing in life is the meaning we attach to it, right? And we have the power to unlearn that lie because this is a lie.
That's true. That's a story you're telling yourself.
It's the story you're telling yourself.
That things like that don't happen to people like us. That's a lie.
Exactly. It is a lie. And so maybe there's a lot of evidence in the past that makes you go, oh, but I have evidence to prove this. Okay. But first question is, do you want to unbelieve that? Do you want to still continue believing that lie? Because it is a lie, right? I remember hundreds of no's and rejections into It Cosmetics. So easy for me to say, oh, I'm a person that not only gets rejected, but I'm a reject. Let it take root in my self-worth level. And then that's when it is a powerful lie that becomes hard to unlearn. Things like that don't happen to people like me, right? Is a lie. And learning to reframe that first step, identifying it, which she did so beautifully in that question, now deciding, do I want to believe that? Right? That's the next question, because let me just get really real here. Some of us use our lies as excuses on why something's not happening. So the next question is, do I want to unlearn that lie, right? Because those are just lies that lead to self-doubt, that keep us stuck, that keep us feeling like we're unworthy. Right now, as we're talking, 80% of women do not believe they're enough, right? 91% of girls and women don't love their bodies. 75% of female executives deal with imposter syndrome. 73% of men feel inadequate and like they're not enough, right? So why I wrote Worthy is like the time to unlearn these lies has come. And so for Lisa, great job being aware of the lie. A lot of times we tell ourselves lies, we're not even aware of it. We just think they're truths, right? But guess what? You're the character of your main life. You cannot always control all the supporting actors and actresses that come into your world, but you can control the main character and how you describe her and how you define her and what you want her storyline to be going forward. And so the next question is, do you want to keep that lie, or do you want to unlearn it? If you want to unlearn it, you reframe it, and every time it comes into your mind, you intercept it. You intercept that lie that says things like that don't happen to people like me. You decide, oh, no. My new meaning is things like that haven't happened yet. Oh, but they're going to happen. Like once I step into who I authentically am, I am the first ever only me, and I'm going to live in alignment with my assignment. And I believe, for me, when that lie comes into my head, I'm like, oh, I'm not crazy, I'm first. And I just reframe it and I decide the meaning I attach to my story. I decide what I'm going to believe is going to happen, and I decide that will be my narrative. And the second we do that, right, because what we focus on is what we magnify, and that becomes our whole life. And when you change your story, you change your entire life.
Was there a moment in the building of It Cosmetics where that lie came up for you? You're getting told no, and you start to look around and see there's all these other cosmetic brands. Clearly it's happening for other people, and it's not happening for someone like me.
Yeah, all the time. The biggest struggle for me was, and especially as we started getting success, right? It was many years in, but we got a big shot on QVC. So after years of no's, I get a yes on QVC, which is a live television shopping channel for anyone unfamiliar with it, and it's broadcast to 100 million homes, okay? At this moment, Mel, we were selling only 2 to 3 orders a day on our website. And
that's not enough to pay the bills, Jamie. No. I don't know if you know that, but that's not enough to pay the bills.
You were teetering on bankruptcy for years. And after hearing no after no after no after no, even from QVC, I got a yes for one shot in this 10-minute window to launch the product. And
put everybody at the scene, because this sounds like something that would cause any human being the biggest case of stress diarrhea on live television, because it is an unbelievable pressure cooker, what you have to do. So just for the uninitiated.
Yes.
Put us on the set at QVC. You are teetering on bankruptcy.
Yes.
You are only selling 2 of your products every day. Yes. You've been at this for years and years and years, and no, and no, and no. And you're up in your head like, people like me, this doesn't happen to people like me, it happens to them. And, and the lies are coming up. So what do you do at QVC? Like, what do you have to do when somebody says, yes, you can sell your product?
Yeah. So, I learned I had to sell over 6,000 units of this product to hit their sales goal in the 10-minute window.
In 10 minutes?
In 10 minutes, or not come back. And remember, we're only selling two or 3 orders a day, right? So I go to 20 banks trying to get a loan to fund the inventory to do this. 22 banks said no. The 23rd bank, California Bank and Trust, gave us a loan for just the amount to cover this purchase order and a little bit more to get my one shot on QVC. I learned it's a consignment offer, which means if I don't sell it, I don't get paid. I have to take it all back, right? And everything was on the line. And here's the story about the power of your authenticity, about knowing you're not crazy, you're just first. Because in that moment, I had been told no so many times, right? And we start to doubt, right, that lie. Do things like this possibly happen for people like me? So we figured it all out. I get there. All of these third-party consultants are saying, okay, if you want to do well, here's what you need to do. You need to book this type of model to demonstrate your product, which was all like people who look like they're 12 with flawless skin. I'm like, that is not why I created this brand. That's not authentic to why I did this. And I would tell them, these third-party consultants, and they help a lot of people, and they really wanted me to win, right? And I said, well, what if I put a model in her 80s and then women in their 40s and 50s with hyperpigmentation and someone who's dealing with acne? And what if I take my own makeup off on national TV and show my bright red rosacea? And they were mortified.
They're like, you're crazy.
Yes, you're crazy. They said, listen, like you get one shot. They're like, you understand you get one shot, right? And I remember, Mel, I flew out to QVC in Pennsylvania and a week before I sat in this rental car in the parking lot. Every single day staring at the front door of the building, like praying, crying in the car all alone because I felt like the pressure was so heavy. And in that moment, those lies come up and I start to doubt myself. And I think, well, maybe I should be inauthentic, try it their way, right? And maybe I'll do well finally, and then I'll make money, and then I could try it my way. I had all of these thoughts come up. And I remember this moment in that car where I these words that while authenticity alone doesn't automatically guarantee success, inauthenticity guarantees failure. Every time, over time. You and I, everyone listening, you can see people popping up online everywhere, and maybe they do well for a minute, but this over time, it does not work. Why is Mel Robbins' podcast the #1 podcast? Why? Because look how you show up. Fully authentically, the same way on air as you are off air. I know this lesson, yet I'm sitting there in my car telling myself lies like some of your listeners are writing in, right? Things like this don't happen to me. Everyone's telling me I'm crazy. But I know every single person listening, you are not crazy. You are just first. And when someone does not get you, that's okay, right? You have to align with your authenticity because that's what is your superpower. And I knew that lesson and I was scared out of my mind to trust that, but I did. And I walked into the building, and the moment I walked into the studio, there's these giant clocks on the floor that said 10 minutes. Yeah. I got 10 minutes to hit those sales goals or not come back. And then, Mel, I learned right before I went on air that you're not guaranteed your 10 minutes. If you're a minute or two into your presentation, they know by the second if you're hitting sales numbers. If you're a minute or two in and you're not hitting sales numbers, your clock, you think you have 8 minutes left, it jumps to 1 minute. You're done. So I learned that. And I go on air, and you talk about, you were mentioning Imagine stress diarrhea. I go on air, I'm drenched in sweat. I have on 2 pairs of Spanx under my dress, not because I care what I look like. I was trying to absorb all the sweat so that I didn't sweat through my dress on national TV. And I remember the lights go on, and I was trying to do a demonstration to show how my product doesn't crease and crack on my wrist, and my hand was shaking so much that the host grabbed my hand, put it under the podium. She's like, "Thank you, sugar," and she took over. And I remember the moment on national television, my bright red rosacea comes up, my bare face. And I remember walking over to models every age and shape and size and skin tone and skin challenge and calling them beautiful and meaning it. And I didn't know how we were doing a few minutes in, but I knew I wasn't cut yet. And then we got down to the 1 minute mark left, and I hear the host say, "The deep shade's almost gone. The tan shade's almost sold out." I was like, oh. And then literally the moment the 10-minute mark hit, this giant sold out sign comes up across the screen. I start crying on national television. They cut from me and go to like Dyson vacuum or something. And my husband, I remember this, my husband comes rushing through the double doors of the studio. I'm sobbing. Our very first employee, one of my best friends of 20 years, she was the only person on payroll at the time because we couldn't even afford to pay ourselves. She starts sobbing. My husband comes running over to me, and I thought he's going to hug me. And he just looks at me, and he puts his arms in the air and his fists, and he's like, "We're not going bankrupt." And I'm like, "Real women have spoken," and just like sobbing. And I remember in that moment, right, all the things people told me about me would not work. The years and years of rejection, the retailers that didn't believe in me, making that decision to remind myself, and every person listening right now, I don't know what room you're walking into today, what phone call you're walking into, what Zoom you're walking into, what idea you're about to share, but you're doubting it. You are not crazy. You are just first, right? You're just first. It's why I wrote this poem that just poured out.
Would you read us the poem you wrote?
I will, yes. And what I'll do is, let me read an excerpt of it. It's the only poem in the books. It's called "You're Not Crazy, You're Just First." "Who do you think you are?" they say. "Things like that aren't for people like us. Why are you going around changing, planning to leave us in the dust? Are you forgetting where you come from? Are we not good enough anymore? And just like that, the temptation to play life small feels more comfortable than before. If you're doubting you're enough, your thoughts, their words have got you down. It's time for your soul to tell your mind there's a new boss in town. See, there's no one else quite like you in the entire universe. And what your soul knows is you're not crazy. You're just first. The first to have your hopes and dreams. The first you there's ever been. So don't be surprised if they don't get you or try to shame you to fit in. They call you odd, strange, different for having dreams bigger than they can see because those dreams weren't given to them. They see them through fear and anxiety. And even the well-intentioned people who love you to the bone can see you pursuing your dreams as a reminder of them not fulfilling their own. If people like people who are like them, hiding your true self's a comfort zone. But a calling unexpressed inside you leaves you feeling anguished and alone, even inside of your own home. They call you words like crazy and say, we stick together for better or for worse. But what your knowing knows is you're not crazy, you're just first. The first to launch the business, to dust your dreams off of the shelf. The first to believe you're worthy of betting on yourself. The first to beat addiction, to live life sober and awake. The first to end the generational cycle that you know you're born to break. The first to start healing. The first to forgive so you'll be free. The first to love others for who they are, not for who you wish they'd be. And when doubt tempts you to dim your light, always remember this verse. Your soul knows you're made for more, with so much purpose it could burst. You're born with greatness inside you. And whether it's a blessing or a curse, the world won't be better until your greatness is dispersed. See, there's only one of you in the entire universe. And your knowing knows, deep down, you're not crazy, you're just first.
Oh, wow.
Are you crying, Mel Robbins?
Well, I'm just sitting here. I'm very proud of you. What does that mean to you?
It means freedom. When you unlearn those lies that lead to self-doubt, oh my gosh, and you start to ignite those truths that wake up worthiness, like that is what that feels like joy and tastes like freedom. Like that is when we start to feel alive, right? That is when the weight of other people's expectations or even the ones we put on ourselves starts to lift. Like we don't soar to the level of our goals and dreams. We stay stuck at the level of our self-worth, right? We don't rise to what we believe is possible. We will always fall to what we believe we're worthy of. You will never feel joy and fulfillment in life until you learn to embrace who you truly are and learn to believe you are enough as who you are. And that is the truth. Every person listening, I do not care how many past mistakes and failures and regrets, and none of that is relevant when it comes to your worth. And when we learn that, it is the most powerful thing we can do. So,
whew, I need a tall glass of water in order to just digest what you just poured into us, Jamie. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And we're going to take a quick break right now and hear a word from our sponsors. And when we return, don't go anywhere. We have 4 more lies to cover.
You're not crazy. You're just first. All right, I want you to hear me out on this because this is a life-changing concept and it's also true. So you might be thinking, what do you mean I'm first? I'm not the first to do anything. My ideas, someone's already done them, that kind of thing. I bet someone's done them better than I have. All right, I want you to just take this in for a minute because when you embrace your firstness, it not only helps build really, really strong self-worth, but it can change how bravely you show up in the world as who you truly are. It can change your perspective on whether or not you feel like you belong or not, whether or not you feel like people get you. Literally, it can help you realize that the things that you thought maybe were odd or quirky or off about you are actually almost always the things that are most right with you. So this idea, you're not crazy, you're just first. So hear me out. And I go into this really deep into how to embrace this fully and worthy. There's a whole chapter and a poem called You're Not Crazy, You're Just First. Here's the thing. There is only one of you in the entire universe. There's never been another you before. There'll never be another you again. And if you're saying, well, what's the big deal? Just think about this for a minute. You are the only one in existence with your fingerprints, right? You're the only one in existence with your tongue print. Yep, we all have a unique tongue print. You're the only one in existence with the iris of your eyes. You actually have a unique heartbeat that no one else in the world has, right? And think about this. You are the only one that has the set of experiences you've had in life. You're the only one to feel the emotions that you feel at any moment, exactly the way you feel them. You're the only one that sees art and beauty and ups and downs and highs and lows the way that you do. You, if you are one of the brave ones willing to actually show up in this world as who you authentically are, you're first. If you're one of the, now if you show up as your representative or try to be like someone else, etc., but if you're one of the brave ones, showing up as who you fully, authentically are, you are first. And when you are first, do not be surprised if not everyone gets it. Don't be surprised if you might walk into a few rooms and feel like you don't quite belong. Don't be surprised if you feel like someone just doesn't get you or you don't fit in. You're first. There's never been another you before. And there's never been, there never will be another you like you. This concept is huge because so many of us feel like, oh, I've got to change who I am to fit in. Or, you know, people have been calling me odd or quirky or off or different or strange, right? Or crazy. You're not crazy. You're just first. You're just first. And here's the thing, when it comes to your ideas, your goals, your dreams, your art that you want to put out there in the world, your business that you launched or that you are in the process of launching, right? Don't be surprised if not everyone gets it at first. Because if you are doing, listen, I don't care how many people out there have done the idea before you. If you're doing it authentically to you, no one's ever done it, right? Like when I built It Cosmetics, there was thousands of makeup companies doing thousands of foundations and concealers, but no one had done it the way I was going to do it, authentically to me. So by definition, that excuse of like, oh, someone's done my idea or something, it's impossible. If you bring who you authentically are to that idea, to that business, to that piece of art, to that expression, to that offering to the world, you're first. No one else has done it quite like you. So when it comes to your business or your ideas or your art, if you're putting it out there and you feel like it's not getting traction or you're not sure why, or maybe you're showing it to like experts and touted visionaries and you're wondering why they don't think it's going to succeed, here's why. I'll tell you why. Because when I built It Cosmetics, I was doing it so differently. Almost everybody told me it's not going to work. Like so many of the experts I put on pedestals said it's not going to work. And listen, they wanted the best for me. But even touted visionaries, even experts, subconsciously, they're not going to believe something's going to work if they've never seen it work before. If there's no social proof it's going to work. So if you're doing something that is authentic to you, they've never seen it work before because it's never been done. So it is, if I had learned this lesson, by the way, y'all, I would have saved myself so many nights crying myself to sleep. Like thinking like, why does everyone not think this idea is going to work, right? Many of us know the outcome. 8 years later, 100 weeks later, It Cosmetics grew to $1 billion business. But for many years, because I was doing it authentic to me, it wasn't working in the beginning. People didn't quite get it in the beginning. And a lot of experts said it would never, ever work. And so I want you to really take this to heart, okay? That when you are doing something authentic to who you are, it has never been done before. It has never been done before. And so you got to get really, really good at cheering yourself on at believing in the offering you're putting out there into the world, whether it's in the form of just showing up as who you are and all that you are, whether it's in the form of a business or creation or ideas or art. You have to get really, really good at cheering yourself on, because what I have learned is most people will cheer you on after you make it, after the thing catches on, after people start embracing it. So in that journey, I want you to remember this. If you're doing something that you feel like others are like, I don't get it, doesn't quite fit in, you don't quite belong, right? You're different or odd or strange or crazy. You're not crazy. You're just first. And I just want to share one more thing. And again, there's a whole chapter in Worthy called You're Not Crazy, You're Just First. And we go deep into how to really look at your identity and build your self-worth around this. Because for so many of us, feeling like we are not enough and don't belong can take root at an identity level. I remember growing up, I have 5 families, I was adopted, it's a whole story. But I remember so many of my loving, well-intentioned family members would say things to me like, you're so odd or strange or crazy. I would have these big ideas on how to impact the world or, solve global problems. And I didn't even know what I was talking about at that point in my life, but I just had these big, dreams and ideas and thoughts. And they would literally, so many of them would always say like, you're crazy. Like, who do you think you are? Like, you're crazy, all that. And I remember there was this moment in my life when in my 20s, I had gone to therapy for the first time ever. And I literally asked my therapist, I'm like, I feel like, I don't fit in, and sometimes I don't belong in the room, and this and that, and I have these ideas. And she explained to me that when you are somebody who, especially is the first in your family, or first in your peer group, or first amongst the people you spend time around, or first amongst the people you were raised around, to have, to think differently, to actually be willing to show up as who you authentically are. Like, don't be surprised if you don't feel like you fit in, because you're first. You're the first to truly, have the confidence and the self-worth to show up as all of who you are. And I just remember this moment that hit me like a light bulb, so powerful, the light bulb burst when I realized, oh, I'm not crazy, I'm just first. So I just want to share this with you today, in case these words are for you. You're not crazy, you're just first. You're not odd, you're just first. There's nothing wrong with you. In fact, the things you think are most odd or quirky or wrong with you are actually so often the things that are most right with you. The things that are most right with you. And when you're one of the brave ones who is willing to show up in this world as who you authentically are, you are first. So be the first, best, most quirky, odd, fully embracing, talented, gifted, like full expression, best ever, only you who are first.
The first thing I'll say about authenticity, because so many of us are scared to be who we really are, right? Because we fear rejection or isolation or not being included or judgment or all those things. And first of all, just one little tip, and you'll know this so probably way more than I do, Jim. But one thing that's always helped me is like so many studies out there talk about how it's impossible to have a real true connection with another human being if you show up as your representative, if you don't show up as your full authentic self, for better or worse, right? The good parts, the bad parts, the quirky parts, whatever. And whether the relationships you want to have are with your partner or your customers or your community on social media, you actually cannot have a fully authentic relationship if you're not showing up as your full authentic self, for better or worse. And so if right now you're listening and you're like, oh, well, I'm showing up kind of as the person I think I need to be, or I'm getting distracted by other people on social media because they're having great success, or their podcast is doing well, or their business, my competitors' businesses are having success by doing this, so I'm going to do that. You are robbing yourself of that actual authentic connection with your own customers, your own community, or your own friends, or your own family. That literally is the only way, from my experience, to build anything that lasts, anything that matters. Like in my journey of now doing over 1,000 live TV shows on QVC, right? I've met thousands of entrepreneurs in the green room, and most of them only last one show, maybe two, and they're gone. And I would like, over the years, I would think, what is that commonality between the people who end up building something? And it's never how smart they are. It's never how skilled they are on television. It's never that. It's the ones that like are the same way in the green room when no one's watching as they are on air. And they're not, none of them are the same. Some are crazy and wild, and some are totally like, whoa. And some are really kind, but the ones that have that congruency, that show up on air and sell their product, whatever it is, whether it's a Dyson vacuum or a personal growth, whatever it is, they're the same, right? Because guess what? The people watching are able to connect because you can't fake authenticity. And I feel like learning that is freedom, because it is so stressful when you feel like you need to show up on social media as something that you're not, because you're trying to build a following and get more likes, or you're showing up in the dating world and you're as your representative, because whatever, it is so stressful. But like when you realize being authentic it's the most freeing thing, because you now no longer care if something's working for a competitor in your industry or this or that, because it doesn't matter unless it's truly authentic to who you are. And one quick thing is like, I used to we built to over 1,000 employees. So I went from not paying myself for 3 years to over 1,000 employees. And they would get so sick of me saying this, but I feel like it was one of the keys to our success was they would, tell me something a competitor was doing or a new product launch or whatever. And I would say, listen, our biggest threat to our business is not what the competition's doing. It's the risk of us getting distracted by it and like getting tempted to dilute our own authentic secret sauce. That's it. And it was kind of like staying true to that helped us actually build something that mattered. And listening to that, even sometimes when the experts out there, or in my case, the retailers were telling me they didn't believe in it. And one more quick thing is just in this process, because you mentioned, the people around you, if they're doubting you, right? Another big tool just to share with everyone listening that helped me is just everybody around you in your circle, whether it's friends, a partner, people you work with, whoever. They're only capable of believing in your dream, whether they realize it or not. They're only capable of really believing in it, usually, if like their own lens they're seeing it through of life experience and limitations has already proven to them it will be successful, right? Like so many people, even experts or visionaries, like they would never admit this, but like if you're doing something new or novel, or maybe it's been done a million times, but you're doing it your own way, it's really hard for anyone else to ever think it's going to be successful because they've never seen it be successful before, because it's never been done the way you're going to do it. So keeping that in mind, and Jim, I would have this imaginary volume dial, and everyone listening has this. Okay, imagine you have your control over your own volume dial. I think one of the biggest keys to overcoming self-doubt on your own journey, whether it's to start painting again, or to start writing that book, or to just freaking go online and make an online dating profile and put yourself out there, right? I think like one of the biggest keys is learning how to control your own volume dial with who you let speak into your life about what. And what I learned, and again, I share a million things I did wrong in this book too.
I want to talk about when you said, I found comfort in knowledge that being underestimated can be a superpower. It sounds really great, right? Like we both have had experiences where we can now look back and say, oh, you just got to go, you got to push, you just got to believe it. What do you tell, again, that mom that may be home folding the laundry, or that guy that's, just got a divorce and is feeling on the down and out? How would you tell them to believe it? Like, even though someone's told you no, or even though you're in that struggle, like, believe it.
Right. So I think the very first thing is knowing and believing that like every one of us has this person I believe we're all born to be. And I think most people never actually become that person. I think most people end up, for a lot of reasons, staying in their comfort zone, almost letting it chip away at their soul, because I think that's what happens when we stay in our comfort zone, and also like talking themselves out of their own truth, right? And I think the very first thing in order to believe that people need to do is make the decision they want to, right? That's the most important, because a lot of people will never make the decision that they want to learn how to believe in themselves, that they want to learn how to believe it's possible to step into all of who they're born to be. And I think that, there's a lot of lessons I've learned that now I really like share as tips in the book on how to do this, because I think we're all on a journey. Once we decide, you're like, yeah, I want to, become the person I was born to be step into all of who I am, then there's a lot of, it's a journey, a lot of things we need to do. So, one quick story, and then some tips on what to do for that is, on underestimated is, for me, I feel like I've always been underestimated for whatever reason. And I think sometimes when we're kind to other people, we instantly are underestimated. I think sometimes, you know what I mean? And I think that, one moment, for example, and I think you can use people's underestimation as fuel. And I think sometimes it becomes 360 and it really works as grace in your own journey. And some people might say, a lot of people say, oh, well, things happen for a reason, or the universe is always right, or God always knows what he's doing. And there's a lot of, if you're someone that's always underestimated, I don't think it's an accident. I think that it's actually supposed to be part of who you are on your own journey and the things that you become strong enough to overcome and smart enough to overcome, right? And one example is, this was before our launch on QVC. We're a few years into this company. I'd started in my living room, thought it was going to be, great. And meanwhile, we got down to under $1,000 in our bank account, which was our personal and our business bank account. I don't know, Sean, if you've ever, I would go to the ATM if I needed $20 and I'd hit no receipt, right? I couldn't stomach seeing the receipt. And,
yes.
Right. And we finally got this call that I thought was life-changing from a potential investor, private equity company. And they loved our product. And I was like, oh my gosh, Sean, this is going to be huge, because this particular private equity company had created, or I should say invested in and built a lot of the products we buy at the grocery store. And they turned in a lot of consumer products from unknown into big household names, huge companies. I was like, oh my gosh, if they invest in us, A, we're not going to go bankrupt. B, what if they can use their leverage to get us into all these retail stores that are saying no? I was so excited. And so we started doing meetings with them, and meeting after meeting, we started the diligence phase, which is when we show them all of our projections and the future products we want to launch and all that stuff. And I remember the final meeting, and I thought this is going to be life-changing. My husband and I flew up to this meeting, and we were standing 3 feet from the head guy. And he said to me, we really love your product. And we want to thank you for everything, but it's a no. We're going to pass on investing in your company. And I said, and I was so used to hearing no at that point, right? So I was like, okay. But can you share why? And because feedback's usually a gift. And
right.
And he was literally 3 feet from me, and he says, do you want me to be honest with you? And I said, yes, please. And then he literally looked at me and he said, I just don't think women are going to buy makeup from someone who looks like you, with your body and your weight. And I remember as he was saying this to me, I remember I felt my whole body flood with a lifetime of body doubt and self-doubt. And it was so weird because I didn't get mad or even hurt in that moment. I felt this crazy feeling of my own fear staring back at me, first of all, as he was talking. And I felt this deep feeling, this deep knowing, I should call it, that he's wrong. But I also knew if I was ever going to prove that, I would need to figure out how to believe it for myself, right? Because that's literally half of it. And I thanked him for his time, for his honest advice. And here's what happened in that moment. And by the way, I think this is the defining thing for so many people out there dealing with rejections and how to handle them. Our human nature, our humanness wants to go to a victim mentality, anger, all those things. Like, oh, F him, what a jerk, like all those things, right? But it was like, of all the things I did wrong, this is one of the things I did right, where I was like, oh my gosh, it hit me. He was passing on investing in our company because of my weight. I was like, wow, he is as much of a byproduct of the beauty industry his whole life as I am, right? It's like, wow, he's making business decisions because in his whole life, he's just seen one type of beauty on TV or in magazines, and he doesn't believe any other way will make him money. And I realized this why is so deep. It's so powerful. Like, not just, oh, let me create products that work. It's like, and by the way, oh my gosh, I'll go off on this for an hour, but so many people, because I've seen so many people fail, right, in their businesses. And I feel like it's because they create their mission, their why, and it just sounds good. Like in this case, my why could have been like, oh, I want to solve my own skin problems and I want to help other women and other people and other men and other people that are the same. And that would be a great why, and it would sound really good. But it wouldn't have been deep enough to keep me going in all those hard years. And a lot of people have these whys that sound great, like, oh, I want to pay for my kid's school and one day, or I want to buy a house. And like, those are great. And if you tell someone else that why, they'll think you're amazing. But literally, it's not deep enough to the core of pain inside of you that's going to keep you going during all the hard times that face most of us, right? So like in that moment, he was obviously completely underestimating me. I also knew I'm also underestimating myself and have to figure out not to. But I turned it into like fuel for that like deep why, like the real why I needed to keep going. And here's the crazy thing about when we trust ourselves and we learn to hear ourselves and trust ourselves, which is like half of my book on how I figured out for me how to do that in a lot of cases and how other people can as well. But like, when we believe and trust, whether it's in the universe, whether it's in a power greater than ourselves, for me, faith's a big deal. I believe stuff's divinely orchestrated in my life. And so many times these huge, painful rejections or setbacks or no's like suck in the time, and they're devastating and they don't make sense and they're not fair. But like years later, right, we can look back on them and be like, oh my gosh, that was grace. Because had this dude said yes to me at that time, Sean, I was so desperate. I would have been like, take most of the company for like anything, just help us survive. And it's like, instead, because of so many people rejected me, I couldn't even give my company away for a little bit of money for so many years. And then by the time, fast forward many years, and we did bring on some investors toward the end, but fast forward to 2016, when L'Oreal bought our company, I was still the largest shareholder. And that changed my life, right? And had he said yes to me back then, like, who knows what I'd end up owning. And the day, and by the way, we met with L'Oreal for 3 years. I was really hoping to partner with them because I was like, oh, they could take our vision and scale it globally really quickly. But they said no for 3 years. And when it eventually was a yes, L'Oreal announced it was their largest acquisition in US history, and it was this all cash deal and this big thing. And I got an email from that guy, from that investor, the day of the deal, because it went on the Wall Street Journal online, the homepage and all this stuff. Mm-hmm. And he said, congratulations on your deal. I was wrong. And I learned it would have been the most successful investment in his company's history had he said yes, right? But he underestimated me.
You talk about your why running deep, right? And it sounds good. But I think you proved that when it wasn't just about you. I mean, he was saying no, like not everyone looks like the person on the cover of a magazine or a beauty magazine. Not everyone looks like that. So and I would be bold enough to say, that I believe that that's maybe 10% of the population. So you're excluding 90% of the population because of what you think beauty is, but not really going to the person that maybe they have beauty inside of them and this is what's going to bring them out. And so, I just really want to commend you on not just having something that sounded good, but it made you like help other people feel good. And you said something earlier about what you were born to be. And I know that this subject it was very emotional in the book. And, as a person that never met their biological father before, you also transcended finding out a secret that would devastate most. And you, again, had to believe it and believe in yourself. And I think you know what I'm talking about. Can you just share just a little bit of that?
Thank you. Yeah. And, really fast, one thing you asked me earlier, I just realized I forgot you said for people in that moment when they're shaking and how do I get through this? What did you do? What was your mindset? It's exactly what you just said. Like, I forgot to answer you. So just to share it really quick in case it's of value. In that moment, when I'm shaking on live TV and I feel like everything's on the line, exactly what you just said, Sean, I knew it can't be about me or I'm effed. I'm done. Because literally, if you want the real truth, I was wearing double Spanx at the time. I'm like, my dress feels tight. Is my Spanx absorbing all my sweat dripping down because I'm freaking out? That's what's going on in my head, right? And if I stay, there's that famous saying, if you stay in your head, you're dead, right? I knew this is not about me or I'm going to fail. And it was like in that moment, that's when you dig deep and you call on your why. It's like, oh, this is like for every person out there watching who deserves to see who deserves to see me calling real people beautiful and meaning it. Like that's what it was about. And so in that moment, the only way I got through it and didn't fail was like, I had to make it not about me. It had to be about something so much bigger than me. It was just too much pressure to handle. I think I couldn't have made it through, let alone connected in an authentic way where people are going to keep their channel on me, not turn it off, and consider buying the product, right? And that's the thing and that's the other thing is your mission has to be so authentic, because had I shown up with this why that was great, but not like the deep core, I don't think people would have connected the same way. And anyways, so I go deep in the book on some personal stuff. I would say 95% of this book I've never shared are stories and lessons I've never shared before.
Labels are not permanent. But here's the thing, every single one of us so easily lets labels stick to us, take root in our identity. So many of these labels were given to us by sometimes well-meaning people growing up. Sometimes they were hurtful labels that we heard once in our childhood and let stick to us, right? Sometimes they're labels we gave ourselves. But labels, whether they're things like empowering ones, right? Like smart, kind, generous, successful, chosen, celebrated, victorious, winner, right? Those things can be really empowering when we let them take root in our identity and we let them stick to us. But so often it's the disempowering labels that we let stick to us. Sometimes we're not even aware of it. Sometimes one stuck to us, we let it take root, we're not even aware, and we've been carrying it around our entire lives, right? Some of the disempowering labels, right? I've carried around so many my entire life until I became aware of them and aware of this question, which is, what have the labels you've let stick to you and take root in your identity already cost you in your life? What have they already cost you? And here's the beautiful part, y'all. Labels are not stuck on us with super glue. They're not bolted onto us. They are like Post-its. They are like Post-its with that light adhesive that you just literally peel off. They're totally removable. And when you learn to remove them, it changes everything. I have an entire chapter where I go so deep into an exercise on how to identify all the disempowering labels in your life and how to replace them with empowering ones, and what are the steps you take to remove them. But when it comes to in Worthy, by the way, a whole chapter in Worthy about the lie that labels are permanent. They are not permanent. Here's the thing. Disempowering labels, those are the ones that so often we let take root, right? It's one thing if you let's say you put something out there, no one likes it, it gets rejected, it fails, whatever it might be. That can shake your confidence. But when you let it take root to the point where you put a label on yourself and you think, I am rejected, I am a failure, that's when those labels, right? I'm a loser. Nothing good ever happens to me. I'm unwanted. I'm rejected. That is when those labels take root and they start to impact your self-worth, and they just chip away at it slowly, slowly, slowly over time. And labels are really, really, really important to become aware of. And so just to ask you this question off the bat, when you think about some of the labels that maybe somebody said to you and you let it take root in your childhood. It could have been family. Like for so many years, a lot of my well-intended family who loves me, I would have these big ideas like, oh, I want to save the world, or can we end world hunger? I would talk about these big ideas. And they would say, you're crazy. You're crazy. Who do you think you are? Right? Or I'd have these big dreams and they would say things like that do not happen to people like us. So it could be these little just loving things people say, but we can let them take root on us, right? There's a whole chapter, by the way, in Worthy called You're Not Crazy, You're Just First. You're the first ever you. But that is an example of a label, crazy. I had to remove that, right? And replace it with an empowering label. Oh, no, I'm not crazy. I'm just first, the first ever me, and you are the first ever you. And I have learned after obsessing over this on how to literally replace these disempowering labels with empowering ones. So, labels are very, very powerful. A good friend of mine, Ed Milet, who some of you know, he shared a story that was just so profound on how labels can help you, right? So when he was a little boy, he was getting teased a lot in school for being so skinny. The classmates would call him Eddie Spaghetti, and he was kind of struggling in class. He was dealing with some addiction issues in his household at home, and just lots that he was going through. And he remembers one day in the classroom, a man coming into the class and asking his teacher for who was the smartest ones, the smartest students in class, because they were going to bring the smartest ones to a special testing room to represent the whole class in that year's testing program. And the teacher said very loud so that Ed could hear, she said, Eddie Milet over here, he's my smartest one. He's the smartest one. And Ed just remembers his teacher knew he was going through a really, really hard time and struggling. And he just remembers thinking, I'm the smart one. I'm the smartest one. And to this day, he says he wasn't. He says he just believes his teacher did that to literally stick a label onto him. But he chose to let it take root that day. He chose to let it believe, oh, I'm not Eddie Spaghetti, who all my classmates are teasing over and over. I'm the smartest one. I'm the smart, she sees me, right? I'm the smartest one. And he let that label take root. Fast forward today, his work is inspiring hundreds of millions of people every single day with his show, with his books, with all the stuff that he does. When we let these labels take root and we believe them, they are so powerful. And this can impact every area of your life. And so, I just want to ask you to take a few minutes. You could pause this video and just write down and just think about what are some of the disempowering labels that you've let stick to you. Because while they're easy to remove like Post-it notes, when they stick to you, they feel like lead balloons, like you're trying to fly and soar in your life, but you have these lead balloons attached to your wings. That is what disempowering labels can feel like. And just taking a moment to identify what those are. And you may even want to, next to them, write out what has believing that label cost you in the different areas of your life. And then next to it, you want to write out an empowering label that is absolutely true. A new empowering label that is absolutely true. An example of this in my life was, I was adopted and placed into adoption the day I was born. And I was raised by parents who just loved me. They loved me. And they worked so much. 7 days a week, very hard work, the hardest working people I know. And they taught me work ethic and they taught me how to work hard. But growing up, I always felt abandoned. I always felt like they chose work over me. I always felt alone often. And later in life, when I found out by complete surprise in my 20s, I was adopted, and just combined with a lot of other things, I realized I had taken on these labels like that stuck to me and really impacted a lot of decisions I was making in my life, because labels can take root in our identity. So I believed like I had labels that had stuck on myself, labels like unwanted, rejected, abandoned, right? Like labels like that. And y'all, they came out in the kind of people I was attracted to when I dated. They came out in the kind of treatment I would let people mistreat me, or I didn't think I was worthy of more than that. I had these labels stuck to me. And in my life, I had to, first of all, become aware of what they are. And then second of all, go, okay, you know what? I don't accept that. I know in my soul, like in my mind where self-doubt lives, oh, it's easy for me to say I'm rejected, unwanted, abandoned. But in my soul, that's where our knowing, that's where our truth lives. I'm not any of those things. And through prayer and through really tuning into that knowing, that still small voice, right? And through doing this work, I've been able to replace these labels with new labels I know and just believe are true in every ounce of my being. And I've reframed them. So instead of feeling unwanted or rejected or abandoned as an identity, I'm like, oh, wait a minute. My birth mom, she chose me. Like, first of all, big step back. My birth mom and dad were together one time ever. That's it. God chose me. Like, he chose me to come into this world. My birth mom did not have to carry me. Her life would have been a lot easier had she not. She chose to have me. And then my adopted parents chose to raise me. I am not unwanted or rejected or abandoned. I'm chosen. I'm chosen. So are you. And it's just replacing those labels has helped me really, literally raise the ceiling on my identity and self-worth. And that impacts every single area of your life. So labels are not permanent. That is a lie. That is a lie. And when we believe the disempowering ones, it starts to chip away at our self-worth. So I want to encourage you to do this exercise today. When you get your copy of Worthy, go deep into that chapter because Worthy is packed with over 20 tools on how to build self-worth. But there's a whole section on all the lies that lead to self-doubt and the truths that wake up worthiness. And one of the lies is that labels are permanent, and they are not. They are not. So I'm excited for you to dive into this, and just want to let you know that I see you, I am you, I love you, I believe in you, and you are worthy.
Like, it's almost like you're reading my mind of what I want to ask you about. I've believed this lie, and I think it is more prominent with women, though. But I believe it. Lie in the book that she references. I should only be seen when I'm happy. And I think that's that mask thing. They should only see me on my A game. You just said it. How are you doing today? I'm good. I should only be seen when I'm good. I want to make other people happy, so I have to project that I'm happy all of the time. And I think that puts a pressure on people. It immediately makes you believe you have to be fake or inauthentic when you believe that. Or you do what I just said earlier. I'll just hide. I'll just hide. And I think a lot of us introverts, I like, if I can't be on and be happy, then I shouldn't be seen. And I think we all suffer from this. There's a depth to this book. I'm telling you that if you let your heart and mind open, how does this apply for me? Because even that lie, I'm like, I don't. And then I thought, no, that's 100% me. I'm only seen when I'm on. I'm only seen when I'm happy. So tell us about that lie.
Yeah. And I remember the first time I ever saw you not on and not happy, and I just felt so freaking grateful that you trust, like that. I just felt such a depth of connection with you. And here's the thing, 75% of men and women, you look at the studies, 75% of us will hide our true emotions and just show up when we can deliver some kind of positive news, positive emotion, put on a happy face. We have this huge juxtaposition happening where we have tragedy and horrible things happening everywhere. And then like we have signs everywhere saying good vibes only, you know, and we feel like, okay, unless I'm positive and happy and all the things, which by the way, I believe we can control a lot of the way we feel often, right? I believe we can do a lot to control our state and everything else. But, you know, Glennon Doyle once said like, being human isn't about feeling happy. It's about feeling everything. Ugh. And if we want the depth of connection with other people and ourselves, we have to be willing to show up as we are.
Yes.
Otherwise, again, every time, you know, we think like, oh, I'm not going to call my friend until I have something good to say. I don't want to bring them down with my problems, or all of these things. And what we do is we doubt ourselves out of into disconnection from people, from ourselves, right? And every time that we show up inauthentically, just trying to be positive, and that's not how we feel, right? And we're really trying to be someone other than who we are. We're telling ourselves we are unworthy as we are.
No kidding.
And here's the thing, like, it is so important to be able to feel worthy of being sad, or of saying, you know what, I feel insecure right now. Or, you know what, I'm kind of bummed out today. Or, and to feel like someone else can hold space for that. Like you're worthy of someone else holding space for that, right? Like, and that you deserve someone showing up for you in that way. It's really a fundamental self-worth issue.
Can I say something to all the women listening? Can I give you some insight into your man and how it'll apply to him oftentimes? By the way, I'm not real big on either of you like gender-specific advice.
Yeah.
But I will tell you, if you have a man in your life who's struggling with this, he more than likely has been raised to believe that if he shows fear or sadness, or that he's down or worried or has anxiety, that he's being weak. And so he only shows up strong. Might not be happy. Maybe it's strong. He only shows up. How's everything going? Everything's okay. And they keep things inside. And if you have a man in your life who does that regularly, like me, who's done it for years and years and years, you have a man who is stacking in his life pain. It's going to come out in other ways. And it's not until I've gotten older and I've had really good friends around me, like you, where there's been things that have happened in my life in the last year or two, as you know, where I'm like, no, I'm really hurting right now. Yeah. And it's allowed me to be more me. And I'm a worthy person even when I'm not perfect. I'm a worthy person even when I'm down. I don't have to be strong all of the time. Yeah. And I know this applies to women as well, being happy and being strong, but it does apply in your man's life, believe me. Men have a real problem, real challenge being willing to say, I'm down right now. Yeah. I'm down. I'm hurting right now. And so know that if you can create a space where they feel like they're accepted when they do it and they don't feel weak for doing it, yes. I think you'll have a stronger relationship with that man in your life if you have one, for what it's worth.
And to add to that, it's so powerful what you just shared. When you look at the data that 73% of men feel inadequate, right? So many men are so good at hiding it. But here's the thing. When you create a safe space for a man in your life to share those things, what is so critical is that you do not let yourself go to the believing that same lie he did, which is somehow that's inadequate to feel those things. Yeah. There's so many, I'll just talk about some women in my life who wish their partner would open up more with this or that. But some of them, when their partner does, all of a sudden they start telling themselves the lie that, you know what I mean? And so it's like, it's both.
What do they tell themselves?
All of a sudden they're not quite attracted. I wish he was stronger. Like those kind of things. It's a lie that everyone needs to unlearn, right? Because not only should everyone have the space to show up as they fully are, but the traditionally opposite gender roles need to be really aware of those lies, because you can get someone back into hiding really fast.
Oh my gosh, that's so true. You know, you talk a lot in the book. I didn't know we were going to go here, but I'm glad we are. About disconnection.
Yes.
It's a great story. I'll let you read the book, guys, about a fire at a hotel that she was in that really hit me. It's actually one of my favorite parts of the book. But this relationship we have with becoming disconnected. Yeah. And one of the real ways in a loving relationship, in a marital one or a boyfriend-girlfriend or same-sex relationship, that you become disconnected is by not being willing to say, I'm down, I'm hurting. It's a form of disconnection because you're really lying to one another. Yeah. You're disconnecting. Actually, what I'm feeling right now is some anxiety. I'm feeling some worry. I'm scared. I'm scared right now. And when you don't share vulnerably and authentically like that, you're creating a level of disconnection because there's no real authentic emotions and feelings being shared with one another. And that's why a lot of relationships suffer. One of them's trying to stay really, really strong. The other one's trying to, put on the happy face all the time, and no one's really sharing and showing up as they really are. And I think that's the symptom of the disease, that they don't feel worthy.
Yep.
And that's why this work is so profound.
So profound. And what I'll say to that too, I think the most just staggering and profound form of disconnection is us disassociating from ourselves, where we don't even know how we feel. We're not even paying attention to who we really are, what we really feel. So then we're showing up in relationships, and it's not even that we're intentionally sometimes not sharing it. We're just disassociating from ourselves, right? And
Yes.
I won't share the whole fire story, but in the middle of a life-threatening emergency, I just remember normally I take on everyone's energy around me, kind of like as an empath. And it was one of the times I remember literally being in such a mode where I disassociated from everything, was in full survival mode to get out of this hotel fire alive somehow. And I realized, oh my gosh, in hindsight, everyone had handled the fire differently. Some people froze, some people panicked, others were screaming, running up and down the hallways. I just remember completely disassociating from everything, including my own body, and just being in full survival mode. And while that helped me in a fire and helped me find this scaffolding to climb down the side of the building, it does not help me in life. For me, and maybe a lot of people can relate to this, numbing or disassociating can come in so many forms. Yep. For some people, it's substances or whatever, shopping or, gambling. It could be whatever, different addictions. For me, it's almost always come in either food or work addiction and busyness. So many of us don't feel seen, we don't feel heard, we don't feel loved, but we don't realize that so often the root of that is we don't see or love ourselves. Yeah. And I'll never forget, in the book there's a whole chapter on do you see you? And in that chapter, there's 5 self-worth shortcuts where I go into literally tactical things you can do in your life right now. Some might seem silly, some might seem really profound, but things you could do in your life right now to actually connect with yourself. Because we live in a world where busyness is rewarded, where we're disassociated all the time, where we're people-pleasing everyone else at the expense of our own soul, right? Where we're just trying to strive to get what the world defines success as. We're showing it for everyone else, and we don't even know. We're disconnected and disassociated from ourselves. And we crave, each one of us, so deeply to be seen, so deeply. And I just want to share that I remember your talk show. And I remember, and I watched every single episode
Thank you.
of your season. And anyone listening who watches Ed's interviews, listens to Ed's interviews, or has seen the talk show, any of that, you see people. And you see God in people. You see God's creation in people.
I do.
And when I've watched people sit in front of you, whether it's in this interview chair or in your talk show seat, and it could be someone that has committed tons of crimes, had massive amounts of failure in their lives, struggling to get by, got problems they don't know how to solve, or someone with tremendous success. You can see their armor come down from the way you see them.
Thank you.
And how you see God in them. And what I wonder, and I know you know what I'm talking about,
I know where you're going.
how you see them. But what I wonder is if you ever look at yourself in the mirror, Ed Milet, into your own eyes, literally. When's the last time, I'm just going to ask you this, when's the last time you looked in the mirror, anyone listening to, into your own eyes and saw God in you and who God created, the magnificence that is you, the worth that is you?
Long time ago. You get me upset. Too long ago.
You, more than anyone I know, just sees the beauty and the worth in other people.
Don't do that to me. Okay.
And when you shared earlier in the interview
You're supposed to be crying on my show.
when you share, I cried earlier, when you shared that you still right now in this moment struggle with feeling love, like you can love other people. Mm-hmm. One of the tools in here, probably the simplest tool in the whole book, but not quite simple when you do it, is actually like looking in the mirror in your own eyes. And everyone at home, like listening to this, when is the last time you actually looked in the mirror in your own eyes and saw the miracle in motion that is you? Like the beauty and the grace and the power that God made you. You. And if you can look in your own eyes the way God breathed life into you when he created you, that's what you do for other people. Yeah. That's why people are obsessed with your show. That's why I watch people just completely disarm and connect with you on your talk show. You can do that for other people. They feel that. And the most important thing is to be able to do that with yourself.
You're right. Thank you for that. I thank you for that. That's a hard one for me, and it's one that I went past that part of the book really quick. Honestly,
yeah.
I'll be honest with you, because I'm like, I don't know that I want, but it is simple to do, and I do need to give myself the gift of doing that, because I know how great I feel when I see, like I said to you earlier in the interview, the Holy Spirit's flowing right now. It took us like 10 minutes. I could see it, and I would love to see more of that in myself, because I know that it's there. I just, a lot of what you just said the last 10 minutes, I'm going to cry, so I don't want to cry anymore. But even just staying busy, producing, is a form of disconnection.
Yeah.
And I think that it does eventually show up and rob you of some kind of connection with the people around you that you love the most if you're not connected with yourself.
Yes.
And so I will do that for my children. I will do that for my family.
Can I add to this? I talk in the book about a book you're writing that I cannot freaking wait for. I know it's going to be a while before it's out, but you talk about let me tell you about you. Mm-hmm. And something you've done with your daughter, your son. Like, you're so good at telling other people about them.
So are you, by the way. But thank you. You are too. You see that in me because you're great at it.
I would love, if you want to know what I want for Christmas or my birthday this year, both, I want Ed Milet to look in the mirror.
I'll do it for you.
And tell Ed about Ed.
I'll do that for you. I really will. I promise you that I will do that. I'll probably do it tonight because I'm getting emotional. So that means I'm supposed to do something. Yeah. I will do that. I'll do it tonight. You don't have to wait till then. Thank you for that gift for me. Now that everybody's listening to our friendship conversation.
Well, I want to reiterate too, Ed, because you're talking about busyness and everything else. Like, this is not about curbing ambition at all. It is about, like, I hustle harder right now
you sure do.
than I've ever in my life.
I can attest to that. She's hustling.
I work so hard.
Yes.
I feel like I'm not even close to scratching the surface on my potential to impact the world.
Yes.
Like, I'm fired up every day. The difference is, now that I've learned how to build self-worth, like, I'm actually enjoying it. Yeah. Instead of constantly feeling like it's never enough and I'm never enough. And so I just want to reiterate that. And also, I'm disassociating into busyness less, and I'm actually feeling it more. Good. So these tools, like, I believe this to my core. If you feel like you have so much more potential in your business and in your goals and ambitions and everything else, and you don't know why you're not crushing it, like, here's the thing, y'all. You want to double your business, double your self-worth. Like, you want to double your success, double your self-worth. You want to double your net worth, double your self-worth. Like, it is the one thing that changes everything.
Let me ask you one more question, and I want to talk last. We'll finish up with, this has been so good. Like, every time you and I are together, we have amazing conversations, but I like when we record them for the benefit of other people. And this is the best of the 3 that we've done. And we've done 2 incredible interviews before, but this is the best, and easily the best. And so at the end, we'll re-mention our ability, people to get coached by us. There's a part of the book that stood out to me, and I knew a little bit of this story before because you had shared it with me prior, but there's 2 things that stood out to me in the book that are subtle. One is in the very beginning of the book, you say, when was the first time, do you remember the first time in school where you knew the answer to a question, but you didn't raise your hand? And everybody probably listening to this had that moment in their life, and that's the beginning of your worthiness issues. And yeah, there was a lot of times I wanted to hide, like I said earlier. And the other one, and it may seem surprising to you out of the entire book, but is the cinnamon roll story with your mother-in-law.
Yeah.
And I'd like you to tell that story because I think people remember stories and then the lesson from it. And in some metaphorical way, everybody can relate to this story in some way in their life. And I think it's another deeply personal story because it's from this person that everyone looks up to, everyone admires. Yet even at that stage of your life where you were in the midst of doing something great, this shows up. So everyone listen to this because it goes to picking on this wound of your body issues all of your life, which is amazing to me because you're such a beautiful woman. But you definitely have carried this with you. So share that story with them and the lesson from it.
You want to know what's wild, Ed, is on the last episode you and I did about a year ago, we touched on body issues for 2 seconds, like very briefly, didn't even go deep. Yeah. The number of men that sent me messages about their own challenges with not wanting to take their shirt off, like all these different things. Really? I was like, this is a real, so in Worthy, there's 2 chapters. One is not about your weight at all, but it is called The Lie, My Weight Determines My Worth.
So good.
It's called Don't Wait on Your Weight.
Yes.
And it's not about your weight. Your weight's irrelevant. It's about waiting on your weight to live your best life, to put on the swimsuit, to ask the person out on the date, to all of those things. Like, what is waiting on your weight already cost you in your life? For a lot of people, it's cost them going to the reunion, saying yes to the party, saying yes to the event, right? 89% of women opt out. Girls and women, 89% of them opt out of meaningful interactions with friends, family, and loved ones when they don't like how they look. Like, it is a thing. So we go deep into what has waiting on your weight already cost you and how do you flip that script? Because I had to flip that script in my own life. I had, built It Cosmetics. We had over 7 million women just in the U.S. that were our customers that were, it was all about redefining beauty, empowering, right? I have rosacea, the skin condition, and I had, just reveal it on national television. I did over 1,000 live QVC shows. What's wild is I've sold over $1 billion in product, just direct to camera. Not because the product was good, and it's really good. It's because I think people finally felt seen and they felt like connected, you know, and anyhow,
crazy.
Even with all that, I still didn't feel confident in a swimsuit. Even with all that, right? I was still waiting on my weight. It wasn't until my daughter Wonder was born and the first time that we took her swimming, and I thought I'm just going to sit on the side, covered up. And I was like, what has this already cost me in my life? And let me just make this not about me for a minute. Let me go shake my cellulite with pride and jiggle it with joy and show my daughter. Because if I'm hiding on the sidelines, I'm telling her she's not worthy in her own skin. If I'm hiding on the sidelines, I'm telling other people they should too. I'm like, no, I can't make this about me. And that was the moment I decided to flip the script and realize, what does this already cost me? But the story you're talking about is a different lie, a different chapter in the book called I Need to Please Them in Order to Love Me. For everyone out there who is a people pleaser, and it is the majority of us, I kind of use this funny example of, and it wasn't only a couple years ago this happened. We're all together at Christmas. Every year for Christmas, I'm adopted, so I have 5 different families, long story, right? And then I have a lot of friends without family, and I just invite everyone for Christmas, whoever wants to come, and we do big tables of See's candy and the whole thing. And so we're there, and my mother-in-law, Paula's mom, is extremely healthy. Like everyday salmon, broccoli. Like it's very disciplined, and she works out. She's in great shape, like all this stuff. She's in her 70s and just so disciplined. Clean eater all the time. I cannot say that about myself, Ed. And we're sitting there, and there's on the kitchen island, there's these hot, gooey cinnamon rolls. Yeah. Right next to them is a spread of berries. There's broccoli. There's like all the vegetables, right? And and my mother-in-law's always on top of my husband, Paulo, for it. He's like, you need to eat healthy. Don't put that, all the things. Like his whole life, she's teaching him how to be healthy. Now, the difference between me and Paulo is Paulo does not care what anyone has to say about anything.
That's for sure.
Paulo,
I can attest to that.
you can criticize him, you could judge him, you could do anything. Yep. He's either oblivious or if he's aware of it, he does not care at all. Yep. It's been good for me, actually, to be around that. For me, though, I'm a people pleaser my whole life. I've worked very hard to learn how to undo that because when you people please for others, you are almost always betraying yourself. When you say yes when you mean no, when you say no when you mean yes, when you all the things, you're almost always betraying yourself. In this moment, I'm sitting there with my mother-in-law, feeling like I want that cinnamon roll. Mm-hmm. But if I get that cinnamon roll, she is going to judge me. Mm-hmm. She is going to judge me. And I was just making eye contact with the cinnamon roll. It was like a forbidden love affair. Literally. I was like imagining telling the cinnamon roll, like, listen, my mother-in-law's here. Like, I know we have this love affair, but I've got to go with the broccoli today. I don't even love the broccoli. I don't even feel it with the broccoli. But today I've got to choose the broccoli. And like cinnamon roll, I'd rather have love that almost never happened than have never loved at all. It was this whole dialogue in my head with the cinnamon roll.
So good.
And I'm like, struggling, right? Like, but in that moment, I wanted to be loved more than I wanted to be me. And I was like, I have to go with the broccoli. And the more I sat there on that day thinking about my mother-in-law judging me, and this is what happens with people pleasing. We all have this happen in our life every single day. What I know for sure and what I realized is, okay, if I choose the broccoli because I think she's going to love me more, it's actually not going to arrive at love at all, right? It's going to arrive at her approving of someone I am not.
Wow.
Right? It's going to arrive at an inauthentic relationship that has a barrier of disconnection, a wall between us, because no matter how much approval she sends my way, I can't even receive it because I know it's not who I am authentically, right? So people pleasing, even though we think it puts on the facade of making everyone happy, it just creates a barrier of disconnection between you and that person. It actually creates less love between you and that person. So I made the decision, you know what? I want to have real connection and love with this person. And for that to happen, I've got to show up as who I authentically am. And so the moment I decided to reach across with the spatula, get this hot, gooey cinnamon, which by the way, 30 minutes had gone by. It was not even hot anymore.
It took that long.
It took that long. Yeah, just debating it, just contemplating it, wanting that freaking cinnamon roll, right? Like pretending I'm not thinking about it, all the stuff. I grab the cinnamon roll, put it on my plate. I watch her make eye contact with me. I watch her look at the cinnamon roll, and she says to me, I just love being with the grandkids. Did you know Wonder's reading comprehension's so good and Wilder's so... She starts chatting away about the grandkids. And I realize she doesn't give a crap if I'm eating a cinnamon roll.
That's right.
She could care less. Yeah. What I was doing was projecting my own insecurities onto her.
It's huge.
The whole time.
It's huge.
And I just wondered how many other times...
Oh.
Right? Have I been tempted or have shown up to please someone else when they're not even thinking about it?
That's right.
And it's at the expense of that connection.
Gosh,
right? And so
it's a huge lesson. By the way, the lesson there is not eat cinnamon rolls and not broccoli. That's not what Jamie's saying. Which you know exactly what she's saying. What she's saying here is that we'll wear these masks or we'll show up in certain ways, project a version of ourselves that we think will be accepted
Yes.
rather than the one that we truly are.
Yes.
And then you have no deep, meaningful connections in your life. You can't go deep with friends that way. And I don't even think you can build great businesses or great anything or great culture if you're not truly showing up. One of the most powerful things I ever did in my business career was I would literally tell people when I would hire them, I don't know whether we're going to make it or not, but we're going to do everything we can. And if we do make it, it's going to be absolutely incredible, rather than projecting no fear. So these things of showing up authentically matter. This has been one of the most transformative conversations we've ever had on the show. I certainly have ever had in my life, for me. I don't think only one other guest has ever got me to cry on the show, which was Granger Smith recently. And I actually sent that to you going, you need to see this. Now I have another clip I have to send to people going, you have to see this.
Ladies and gentlemen, rock this house and welcome to the stage, Jamie Kern Lima! Jamie Kern Lima!
Every single one of us has had someone tell us we're not enough. Every single one of us has had someone say words to us that hurt.